guys, welcome back to another video. So I have two active comic projects that I work on, and while I love being a comic artist because of the fulfillment it gives me to see my stories playing out page by page and getting to share them with others, there are also some things about the comic making process that I'm sure any comic artist would agree can just get to you over time. While I go on this silly multi-part rant, I invite you to draw alongside me. I'll be inking a page from my manga as the visual portion for this video. Speaking of which, Fable Forest Bakery is set to officially go live on comicfury beginning on November 24th and continuing every Sunday thereafter at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you don't want to wait, I have all the pages up that I've made thus far posted to Patreon for Espresso tier supporters and higher to read. And if you're interested but not sure if you want to spend the money, make sure to watch to the end of this video to learn about how you can get the chance to win a 3-month gifted membership of Espresso tier access so you can catch up on all the latest pages of both my comics before anybody else. Okay, now let's start the video. So the first struggle that I consistently deal with in this comic making journey is how nobody, save for a very small group of people, see the pages that I complete right away. After you've spent all these long hours hunched over your drawing tablet, waiting to eat, waiting to use the bathroom, shutting out every external facet of your life until just this one page is finished, and then once you finally reach that triumphant point where you can finally export the final file, it's usually just a celebration of one, because if you're like me and you have your comic pages queued to go live so there's a consistent, predictable schedule, this page that you just finished and are just so excited to see how the readers will react to this cute moment or funny moment or just like mind-blowing turning point of events, they won't see it for another like 8 months. By the way, all this stuff about ignoring all your physical needs until the drawing is done is a hyperbole. I do not endorse that. Please take care of yourself first. That alone makes the comic making journey so lonely. My brain is so wired to crave immediate recognition for the things that I've made, especially if it took a lot of time and effort. For me, the happy medium I found is using Patreon as a way to upload pages immediately for my supporters to read right away. If even just one person sees it, that alone just fills me with so much joy and satisfaction to where I feel I can finally move on to working on the next page. But even then, it might not be right away that somebody sees it. So there I am, waiting not so patiently, rereading the page I just finished for like 20 minutes and refreshing my Patreon page until someone has seen it. I'm totally joking. I'm really trying to build the mental fortitude to where I can just finish a page and move on, not caring if someone else sees it or not, because I don't want to slow myself down. But I really am grateful to even have the privilege of a private platform like that, where I can get more or less immediate feedback on my newest pages and even get compensated a little bit for it, which is really nice. I can't imagine how it might feel to not even have a place like that to post a page right away. I know there are comic artists that keep pretty much all their pages secret until they're published as a whole chapter or even a whole book, and I think that's like way more normal in the industry than the system that I have. I'm nowhere near that level of patience yet, but I strive to be. And then I know there are other comic artists that probably just upload their pages right away because they're not like worried about a consistent schedule, or maybe they can just create pages on a consistent basis. That is not me. The second struggle I experience as a comic artist is filling in the tinier, less important gaps in my story as it goes on, because lots of tiny, lesser important details add up to something very important in terms of the reader's enjoyment of the work. And what I mean by this is really minute details. I'm talking about how to orchestrate certain scenes, which way is this character facing, what the characters are wearing, what color is this table, what in the world does this specific corner of their town look like, is the bench next to a tree or near a park fountain, what are the background characters wearing, what do they look like, what does this character's room look like, how are we going to smoothly bounce from this plot point to the next, what are the characters eating, and possibly why. I feel like I've talked about in the past how making comics can be a great way to force yourself to practice drawing certain things that you wouldn't normally draw, but comics also quickly become a great mental exercise, forcing you to practice coming up with solutions to littler problems on the spot and in harmony with the universe and canon that you created. The challenge is that there are always little things that you never even bothered to think of or didn't expect to have to think of, and now you have to come up with something, otherwise you're going to be stuck on that one page where the thing shows up. It's definitely a challenge, especially if you're more of a big picture person when it comes to story writing and more major plot points come easier to you. But this can be viewed as a fun part of the process too. It's a great opportunity to share the little details about the world you created beyond the main story and flesh out the characters in interesting and unexpected ways. I think the proper solution to this, which is something admittedly I could greatly improve on, is actually having ready-made references to your major settings or alternative outfits for your characters that you can reference without getting stumped at every new detail that hasn't been come up with yet. So far I've survived by just kind of more or less winging it through my stories with vague references scribbled and just building other scenes from scratch as I go, but I think I might give myself proper references in the future to make this easier for myself. As far as plot elements that connect to bigger plot points, I don't have any particularly good advice for that one. I'm just as lost as you are, and I am just doing my best trying to move my plots forward in the most interesting ways that make the most in-universe sense. The third struggle that I personally experience as I make comics is paneling. This is still so difficult for me. Like, interesting paneling. Like, I can make a simple 4 to 6 boxes comic page, and that usually is just fine for my webcomic, but now that I'm making a manga-inspired comic as well, I've been trying to study the way manga artists lay out their panels and pages and try to mimic interesting and visually appealing ways that they do it. Whether or not I'm particularly good at it yet is up to my audience, but I found that there are some manga series that have quite a few simpler pages in their books too, with just mostly square or rectangle panels in sequence. But most of the paneling layouts I've seen out there are so creative. I know inevitably in the future I'm gonna get to a point where I look back at my earliest pages and probably think up better or more creative ways I could have arranged the panels or formatted it as a whole to have a greater impact on the scene, but I can't worry about that too much. I don't mind letting my skill progression be clear in my works as time goes on. All I can do for now is just keep studying and keep trying to absorb as much information as I can along the way. The fourth struggle that comes with being an indie comic artist is that it doesn't pay much, if anything at all. Professional comic artists usually get paid per page, plus royalties of book sales. But when you're working independently on your own project, it has to come from a place of passion because compensation is not guaranteed. I've seen other artists use Patreon's per creation payment setting to get paid a fair wage per page that they make. When I saw that, I thought that was such a good idea, and I was sad that I never tried it myself. I always opted for the per month setting because I wanted people to be charged a consistent, predictable amount instead of dependent on how many pages I put out, which could be a little bit one month and then a lot another month, let alone the fact that comic pages were not the only reward that I have been releasing every month. But that said, since Patreon just very recently shut that option down, the per creation option, and made all Patreon pages have the per month memberships, they kind of stomped on that option for all comic artists. It's actually really a shame because one artist who I saw a video of here on YouTube was actually making a livable full-time income off her comics, and her income plummeted to basically nothing in comparison because of this change, which really stinks. I feel for her. The way I earn money from my comics is my small but lovely Patreon community. I'll also count the AdSense I earn from videos because in some of my videos I talk about my stories or have speed paints of the pages I'm making. In the future, when I get my manga published, I'll be able to earn a little bit more money from selling copies of those too. So it's a very humble income being an unpopular indie comic artist, but at least I have other ways of keeping myself afloat in life in general, and my comics are being kept alive by my burning passion for the stories and dedication to see them through to the end. And that's enough for me. And the fifth and last struggle I'd like to vent about today is long hours hunched over my iPad, staring at a screen, likely sitting on one or both of my legs, cutting off the circulation, taking about an average of 4 to 6 hours that it usually takes me to finish a single page, which on top of other responsibilities in my life is basically like an entire day when I'm not working or otherwise away from home for the day. Although I do remember back when I was working full-time, I used to be really good at waking up really early before work, working on as much of the page as I could, and then doing my best to finish it that evening after I got home and ate dinner. So it's not impossible even on a full work day, but it's still a considerable amount of time that I have to budget for, especially because I have a certain amount of pages that I need to get done to maintain my buffer for my webcomic and get the manga published within my desired time frame. A comic page is one of those things that I always assume isn't going to take me very long and that I can just knock them out, but then I'm always proved wrong. I want to say I feel like I might be getting a little bit better at making them faster. I'm not really sure, but I hope I am. At the rate I can finish pages right now, my absolute max per day that I can create, as long as I'm super focused, is 2 pages. And that's if the day is free enough to even allow it, which is a fine rate for now, but I want to try to speed up my workflow in the future without sacrificing the quality of my work so that I can get more pages out. Another important thing I should really improve on is the ergonomics of my drawing posture. I don't have a proper desk chair yet, so the most comfortable places for me to draw for long periods of time are still my bed or my couch, propping my iPad up with likely something like a pillow. It sounds like a comfy setup, but my posture is not the best in either case. Until I can get a proper desk chair though, the only thing I can do is try to be more conscious about it, especially to stop cutting off circulation in my legs, because that cannot be good in the long run, and I'm already off balance and clumsy enough, so I gotta stop that. Well, that pretty much sums up everything I wanted to complain about today. I hope you enjoyed listening to my silly little rant. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you also a comic artist? What are some struggles that you've encountered in your journey? Can you relate with any of mine? If you enjoyed the video and you're interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing to be notified of future uploads. I like making cozy draw with me style videos like this one, the kind that are easy to listen to while you draw or do something else, or if you just need a little bit of company. If you're feeling extra generous, please consider supporting me for as low as $1 a month on Patreon. But here's something different and special. In celebration of the release of my new manga, I want to give away a 3-month Espresso tier membership to one of you guys, so that you can get a little preview of what it's like to be in the Patreon party, and so that you can catch up on all the latest pages of both Supernova and Fable Forest Bakery, plus a couple of bonus stories that I have in that tier. Here are the details to enter. So pay close attention to my community tab, because I will be making a post there on Monday, December 2nd in regards to the giveaway. I'll have interested ones comment on that post to enter, and then using a random number generator, I'll pick one random subscriber to gift the 3-month membership to. I'll have more details in that post, but I'll likely have it going on for a couple of weeks just so that as many people as possible get a chance to enter, and the 3-month membership is intended for the first 3 months of 2025. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you look forward to it. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye bye!